Hi, and welcome back to the Traveling Knitter channel. My name is Steph, and this video is going to be a surprise book haul. I really had no intention on buying this many books, but the majority of them I bought at a used bookstore on Independent Bookstore Day, which happened to fall on the same day as Local Yarn Store Day. And the independent bookstore I went to is called Mix It. It has a really weird name for a bookstore. I will put it on the screen. It is actually very close to where I grew up in Ohio. This bookstore was not there when I was growing up. There really was no bookstore. We had a Walden Books in the mall, and that closed down. It closed down the year I went to college. And so with that, there were no bookstores, which is really depressing to think about. You could get books at Target, and that was it. So now I'm kind of thinking about my childhood and how did I survive that? I basically went to Easton a lot, which is in Columbus. Okay, anyway, I also purchased quite a few books while I was in Germany, which was intentional. That was my plan. In Germany, I don't know if it's the same for other European countries, but there is kind of like a book regulation on pricing. And so you, what you're gonna pay on Amazon in Germany, what you're gonna pay at a major bookstore, what you're gonna pay at a grocery store, it is all the same price. And it is literally the price on the book. You know, like in the US, you grab a book, you get an MSRP price. This one says $18.99. You never pay that. You never pay that. In Germany, that is the price of the book. So you're not getting any sort of deal by buying it on Amazon. It's just more of an accessible thing. So I purchased all my books from various bookstore chains. And then I did get one at a kind of like a superstore. I would equate it to a Target or a Walmart, way bigger than probably, I don't know, maybe as big as a super Walmart, but all Walmarts are now super Walmarts. It was very big. It's called Globus or Globus. Mainly a grocery store, but then there's a bunch of food in there. You can buy clothes, books, crafts, homeware stuff. You can buy a lot there. So let's just talk about the books that I bought in Germany. Before I even jump in, I speak German and I read German. So I buy German books. I actually have quite a few. They're kind of isolated to being right over here. And then actually these are German books and then these are German books. So they're normally not sitting out there, but I'm running out of space on my bookshelves. I picked up a lot of Kerstin Gia. And I really like this author. So she is a German author and her books are translated into English, not immediately. So if this name sort of sounds familiar, she has a relatively well-known popular trilogy. And it is Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue, Emerald Green. And it is a, oh my gosh, what is that word? What's the, time traveling. It's a time traveling book. And now that I'm thinking about it, I've only read the first two. I didn't read the third one. I genuinely really enjoyed it. And I kind of, once I realized that it was a German author, I figured, why not just buy the books in German instead of reading the translated version, since I have that ability. So I did. This one is called Wolkenschloss, which translates to cloud castle. So Wolken is cloud, Schloss is castle. I think the actual English title is Castle in the Clouds, I think. And you're gonna have to just forgive my translation of what these books are about, because I cannot read German nearly as well as I can read English. It does take me a long time. And so I actually pre-wrote what these books are. And so I'm translating what the back is, and then even further to what I think this is about. So I could be totally wrong with what these are about. Sometimes, you know, it's fine. So this one is and I love the cover. Like, isn't that really cool? So this one is a grand hotel in the Swiss Alps, and it is full, like, famous people, rich people will come and stay at this hotel. I think there's a specific party. I think there's like a New Year's party or some sort of party, and something happens, I think either at the party or before the party. Our main character, her name is Sophie. She works at the hotel trying to make sure everything goes according to plan. But then something happens, and then she's off on an adventure. I think she's trying to make sure she doesn't lose her job. And also, like, the famous people, I think there are some imposters or people who are not who they say they are. I love the cover of this. The inside is also really cute. So excited for this. I bought a lot of her books. I also picked up books 2 and 3 because I do own the first one. I haven't read it yet. I really do need to make a priority of reading my German books, but they take me so long, and I'm very goal oriented. And so when I'm reading a German book, I'm kind of thinking about how my Goodreads goal is like falling into the toilet because of it taking so long for me to read a book. So I did not bother to look up what the second and the third one are about, but the series, or the first one, and Silber means silver. I feel like that's pretty easy to translate. And then they do have like taglines, so it just says Das zweite Buch der Träume, das dritte Buch der Träume, which means the second book of dreams and the third book of dreams. And what I think this book is about, we have our main character Liv, and she has like really vivid, creepy, disturbing dreams. And lately her dreams have revolved around these boys that are doing dark magic rituals. And she realizes that she recognizes at least one of them from her new school that she goes to. And then I don't know if it's just one or all of the boys, they start like saying things or acting like they know more about her than they should, which is making her think that either they're also dreaming or they're all going to this dreamlike world, and just like her, they're also remembering her. So I'm not sure if she's like trying to figure out why she's in this dream world, or if she's trying to figure out why these boys are being all weird. I don't know, but that's what these books are about. And those three, the trilogy and the Wolkenschloss, those are already translated into English. So if any of those sound interesting to you, you can pick those up in English. I feel like I've tried to buy this book and it was like $30, which is crazy. So I don't know what was going on there. I haven't looked again recently. But while I was there, she had a new book come out, and it is a new series. Aren't these covers just amazing? I think all of her covers are gorgeous. So this one is Vergiss mein nicht, which I'm a little confused with what this means because I've heard of Vergiss mich nicht, which is don't forget me. So this is like the same thing. I don't know. I didn't like try and Google. In German, you've got a lot of like tenses. So mein and mich both mean me or mine. So maybe it means vergiss mein nicht, like mine as in my things. Gosh, this is difficult. I don't think I could ever be a translator. Okay, this is editing stuff. I thought about this, and in all of my words that I'm saying, vergiss mich nicht means do not forget me. And then vergiss mein nicht means forget me not. So I'm on the right track here. It's the same thing, right? In English, me, both things, but in German it changes the tense. So that's great. Back to your scheduled programming. And then the kind of tagline here says, was man bei Licht nicht sehen kann, which is what one cannot see by light. Translations. So this one, I think this one is either like a hate to love or an indifference to love. We've got two main characters, Quinn and then Matilda. Quinn is like followed and then somehow gets injured by like a magical creature. And I think he's trying to figure out like, why are there magical creatures? I think this is like normal life without magical creatures kind of fantasy thing. And his neighbor Matilda, they're not friends or anything, but Matilda's like into fantasy stuff and is a little bit of a nerd. And so he's got this mystery that he needs to solve, and he's like, why don't I ask my neighbor to help me? And then they go off on an adventure. I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but that's enough for me. Really, I bought it because of the author and the cover. Then I actually was on the hunt for this book. This is Die Stadt der träumenden Bücher by Walter Moors or Walter Moors. And I heard of this book from Reagan of Peruse Project. She is basically the booktuber that I watch consistently and have been watching since she was in college, which would have been like early stages of me traveling. So basically, very soon after I graduated college. And she read this book and she'd mentioned that it is actually a translated work from German. And I was like, why don't I just pick it up in German? She described this as a really, really weird book. It's about like a dinosaur who either like, I think he's like a dinosaur librarian or something. And what's quite interesting about this book, it's got like illustrations. There seems to be some footnotes. There are like different font sizes. So I think this is going to be a very interesting book. This one I'm thinking is probably going to be the most difficult for me to read because of how confusing the plot even sounds. So I am excited to read this, and I think if I do really enjoy it, I can pick up his other books. The bookstore that I was at did happen to have them, so I kind of know what they exist or what they look like, and doesn't appear like it'd be difficult to find. So yeah, this guy. And then this is the one with the most confusing plot for me to translate, and it is Luyanta. This one also just came out in March, so you can't read this in English. if you read German, you can pick this up. Look how like pretty it is. So this is just really confusing. It's confusing because, well, I just had a hard time translating the blurb of the story. What I think I understood is it is about a girl who is on vacation with her family, and she is not excited to be on vacation with her family, and somehow she is like, she gets messages or something, and she follows them to either a parallel universe or the same world but like secret, and they think that she is like their savior, a god that has come to rescue them from tyranny, from either another god or a dictator. Again, sometimes when you're like using these translations, I'm taking them as a literal word, but it may not be a literal word. It may just be a descriptor, right? Like tyranny, a dictator. A dictator can mean, like, you have dictator the noun, and then dictator like as more of like a verb, or a or to dictate also means to speak. See, this is where it gets really confusing, right? So I couldn't really tell what it was telling me. Was it a god or that was evil, or was it a person who acted like a god? I don't know. And there's like, she then meets like another character and they become like friends. And it sounded like this character can turn into a marmoset. Again, I don't know. I was kind of struggling with figuring out what this book was, but the cover is gorgeous. I'd never heard of this. It's brand new, not in English. And that's kind of my goal when I go to Germany, is I try to buy books by German authors. You would not believe how difficult it is to buy books in Germany that are not translated from English. It is so difficult. I would say like 75% of the books in the bookstore, in the like literary books area, novels, are written in English. So I have to open up the book, and if it doesn't say who the translator is, or it doesn't say auf Englisch, I bought 3. Aus dem amerikanischen Englisch von, and then it'll give you the author of the translator. And if it doesn't do that, then you got to read the author description to see, do they live in Germany? Are they from Germany? So it's kind of difficult. But anyway, the last 3 books that I purchased was a goal of mine, and that is, can you see that? Yep. It is A Court of Thorns and Roses in German. It is one of my favorite series, so why not get it in other editions, just like I have been doing for Harry Potter. So the covers are kind of reminiscent of like the late 2000s paranormal romance. So, I mean, they're not terrible. I don't quite understand what like the butterflies have to do with it. Maybe it's a part of the book that I'm forgetting, but so this one is Das Reich der Sieben Höfe, Dornen und Rosen. So that is Court of Thorns and Roses. Interesting. The translation of the book titles are not the same. Now, Dornen and Rosen, that is Thorns and Roses. This one is the second one, and it is Flammen und Finsternis, which is Flames and Soot, which, what is the second one called? Mist and Fury? Maybe Finsternis is Mist. I was thinking it was Soot. Flammen. I'm thinking of Flammkuchen, which is like a food. See, this is where the translation gets difficult. And then the third one, Sterne und Schwerter, and it's got crows on it. Also, she's got 2 colors of hair. It's almost like a weird cool tone to warm tone. That's weird. Anyway, I did purchase the 3. They had the 4th one. They also had the 3rd, or okay, so they had the 4th novella, which I was like, no, I'm not buying that. Even though it like would have completed the collection, no. I was so disappointed in that book. I'm not buying it again. And they did have the 4th, 5th, depending on what you look or how you look, but they had it in the hardback, and which made it like $30 something. So I just didn't feel like buying that as well. So those are all the books that I bought in Germany. We are almost at half an hour, and I have so many more books to go. Okay. I bought so many books. I think I mentioned the local or independent bookstore day. They were doing a deal where you paid $5 and you could fill up your basket with any used book that was priced $2.79 or less. So basically that meant if I bought 2 books, I was getting a good deal. So at that point, after I had picked out 2 books, I was like, put it in, it's all free now. So I did something, or I bought books that I never would normally pick, and that was vintage. I don't know. I just had this like feeling of, what if I read a bunch of books from the 50s? Would that be fun? Well, we'll find out, because I just bought like 20 of them. So I went into, and they like smell a little musty, which is now making me sneeze a bit. Also allergy season, and I didn't take any allergy meds, so I'm kind of feeling it right now. But I went through the kind of like historical fiction, general fiction, and then romance for these finds. I didn't look every single one up. I kind of was like, yeah, I'll take it. Some of them were just like the covers. Some were the really weird blurbs. Some that I looked on Goodreads, every single one that I looked on Goodreads had a rating of 4 or higher. And it wasn't like there was only 10 ratings, 20, 100, 1,000. Like some of these had multiple thousands of ratings. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious if maybe this is going to turn out to be really fun. So let's just start, because this video is going to be forever. And I'm not going to hold them up in the order that I found them or anything. I'm literally just going to pull them out, so they're not even going to be grouped by genre. Okay, so in the romance, I was kind of like, what are some like older romances with like really weird covers or stuff like that? And then I came across this one, really, because of how big this romance novel is. It's called And Ladies of the Club by Helen Hooven Santmeyer. And I'm going to do quite a bit of editing in this video. I'm going to put the year that it came out and the Goodreads rating, and I don't know if I'll put anything else, but I'm going to put that at the bottom of the screen. Look at this fancy lady here. She's also on the front. And I mean, it's saying it's the #1 bestseller, the year's #1 bestseller, a novel that has captured the heart of America. I mean, the accolades for this. So what I remember when I did look this one up, I think like it's just about a bunch of ladies that are in a book club. Like, yes. See, she's got books. I mean, I'm not gonna go through very much with these, but if you're curious to know how many pages are in here, 1,433. So I have no idea what this originally cost, but this is a monster of a book. Then this is actually what kicked it off. This book. It is The Good Shepherd by C.S. Forester. I recognize, so this is what I saw. I recognize this name because I was like, didn't he write like a big old series about like naval ships or something? And so I and then on the back it has Hornblower Saga, and I was like, that's it, that's the series. I'd always meant to read it because my library, my Newark Public Library, had these books, and I think they had like a reprinting of them, and I don't know, they just sounded really good, and I was averse to putting books on hold. It annoyed the crap out of me that people would put books on hold so that I couldn't get the book. My feeling was, you go to the library and then you go get your book. Like, it's an adventure. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. I'm over that now because after traveling, you know, it's very difficult to always go to the library, which I'm saying that, but like, I go to the library, not as much now, but I used to go every week, sometimes twice a week. Now I go like every other week, which is still probably a lot, but I love the library. I love libraries. Love them. Love them so much. I might like libraries more than I like yarn stores. I know, fighting words. So this book is, I think it's a standalone, which is why I grabbed it. But it is like another nautical book. I don't know, like, look how old it looks. It looks so old. It does have quite a classy, like, look at that battleship up there. Yeah. Oh, and then something else I did notice with a lot of these books, it said Book of the Month Club selection. I'm gonna look it up, but is this the same book of the month that still exists, that is now like really popular? I'm curious, because if it is, that's like really cool. I've mentioned it before. I like the concept of book of the month, but I personally would never get book of the month because I don't like the book of the month logo that they put on all of the books. I buy books for aesthetic purposes as well, and I don't like the book of the month logo. I just don't like the logo on the books. Another book, a book society choice, is I Can Take It All by Anthony Glynn. I got this book because of the title. I don't know. I was like, what is this book? So I really don't know what this book is about. The cover is pretty cool. I like the colors. Oh, and it does have a cool inside to the book. This one smells musty. This one's a musty book. So there you go. This one I bought because of the cover. What? The Highland Hawk by Leslie T. White. Look at this Caesar-like man and these women that are just so excited to be in his presence. And like, he's holding his helmet like this. Like, what? What is this? I did read a little bit about this one, and this is Davy Dugald, a well-known to Highland Scots as the Hawk. And I guess he like leads an army and probably wins the heart of My Fair Maiden or something. I don't know. This is like so funny looking to me. Now this cover definitely has a lot more wear and tear than the other ones that I grabbed, but again, I picked my 2 books, and so this one, I was just gonna go on theme. Another book that I picked because of the cover is The Silver Oar, a novel of the American colonies by Howard Breslin, who has written another book called The Tamarack Tree. I mean, what? What is happening here? Like, she looks pissed, but they're also holding hands. So I don't know. I just don't know. This book is a little boring on the inside, but this is also a book club edition. I was trying to find fantasy novels that were more vintage, but I think because the fantasy genre is not it's not super old, I was definitely having a harder time. So I think the oldest fantasy novel I could find was from the 80s, which is not very long ago, but also if you think about it, that's 40 years. So I found this one, Blacksmith's Telling, Daughter of Tinnagal by Faye Sampson. So this is a library edition. I don't typically enjoy library editions, but I'm going to do some minor surgery and take the protective plastic off of this, and hopefully it doesn't have, okay, yeah, the tape doesn't look bad. My library, they use this awful tape that is like impossible to get off, and it rips the cover. So this one doesn't look too bad. This is the third book in a series, unfortunately, but again, I was just trying to find some vintage fantasy novels. I literally don't know anything about this other than it's got to be fantasy because look at her. It's probably Arthurian, like Lady in the Lake. Uther Pendragon. Yeah, so. This one. This one's The Royal Box by Frances Parkinson Keys. Look at them. So this one is a romance novel. Look at that. Look at that back there. And I think some of these have illustrations in them. Yeah, there's chapter illustrations. Isn't that exciting? Very exciting. This one is The Interrupted Sky by Paul Hutchins. This is about a woman who runs away from her husband, and then her husband gets a phone call, realizes that she ran away, and so he runs after her. I think it says it's like a psychological thriller. I'm not sure. I'm also just now reading that Paul Hutchins is a favorite Christian novelist. So now I'm kind of thinking I'm not going to enjoy this book. I'll still try it, but now I'm kind of regretting this one. And then the last book in that bag is Only in New England, a story of a gaslight crime. This I picked up literally as I was going down this very, very steep stairs to leave. And it was sitting on a book, just so there's boxes all over, and you can like open the boxes and find more books inside of them. And this one was just like stacked, and I didn't read anything about it. I just saw the cover and the gaslight crime. I was like, oh, I don't think I picked up really any mysteries in my vintage books. And so hopefully this is actually vintage. Okay, yeah. 1959. So I don't know. Also, it's like super thin, 200 something pages. I grabbed another like fantasy book, but it's not the first. It is The King's Justice by Katherine Kurtz, Volume 2 of the Histories of King Kelson. This looks like a classic good versus evil fantasy, maybe not fantasy, not sure, but set in like medieval times. This just makes me think of Tamara Pierce and her Alanis, or just her Tortall world, and let's see. And then we're in the romance section, and I am not as familiar with romance authors. Like, I can recognize them when I see them, but I can't really, like, they don't come to mind other than like Casey McQuiston or Evie Dunmore. So more contemporary romance authors, contemporary meaning recent, not like the genre of contemporary romance. So one of the other booktubers that I follow, her name is Madison Mary, and her YouTube channel is I think it's the Paperback Princess. And she went and did a video of good historical romance authors if you're new to the genre, what are some good ones to start with? And she had mentioned Julie Garwood. And so I had actually put one of those books on my Kindle as an option for when I was abroad. I didn't get to it, but the bookstore happened to have a copy. So they had The Secret, and then they also had the second one, which is Ransom. So I figured, why not just get them? Don't really know anything about them other than it is historical romance, and it is recommended to me by a booktuber who does not know I exist. Okay, this is actually the last book I put in my cart. My friend was looking at something, and then I saw the spine, and it is The Incredible Journey, which is the book that the movie is based on, and the movie is called Homeward Bound. I was obsessed with this movie. Obsessed. To the point where, so if you've not heard of Homeward Bound, it is about two dogs and a cat. The cat's name is, oh my gosh. What is it? It's like a, I always thought it was a fancy cat name. Is it Sophie? No, it's not Sophie. Sassy. The cat's name is Sassy. The dog's name was the golden retriever's name was Shadow. And then the other dog, which I don't know what kind of dog that was, his name was, I think, Chance. And their family moves. I think they're moving or they're going on vacation. And so they have the animals flown out, but they get out of their crate because they don't know what's happening. And the whole movie is about these animals trying to get back home. And the ending is so, like, it's so sad and then so uplifting. And I think it's either Boys to Men, or there's a song, which, story time, the song had the lyric of like a shadow. I'm not gonna sing it because I'm just not going to. I'll put the song and then like the lyric line. And I don't know, when it came on many years ago after we'd moved, because this was when we lived in Asia, and my mom had said, you used to love this song when you were little, and you would always like smile and you know, whatever. And I'm like, well, do you know why? Because this would have been when I was like 3 or 4 or 2 even, and it's because of literally the word shadow. Because the song, I thought they were singing about the dog. Obviously, it has nothing to do with the dog. But that song as a baby, I recognized the word and thought it was about Homeward Bound. So, long story short, I had to get this book because I loved that movie. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I should watch it. I wonder if it's on any streaming services. There was also a second one, which I distinctly remember asking for my 7th birthday, receiving it, and thinking it was lame, that it was not good. So I've only watched the second Homeward Bound book or movie like one time. I think it was like a Dog's Journey or something. I remember the cover of the VHS. Yeah, even at 7, I recognized that movie was nowhere near as good as the first one. I wonder if the internet agrees with me. I might have to look at like Rotten Tomato or something. So, okay, The Incredible Journey by Shayla Burnford. Thank you, Car. And originally 60 cents. Oh, and there's artwork. Wow. Yeah, see, he's so happy. He's so happy that Chance is back. I'm wondering if that's what the dogs are actually called. Or if that's what the animals are called. Oh, but the boy's name was Peter. It was, because I remember the Chance's, the actor, because it's a voiceover, him saying Peter, no, Shadow. Shadow's child was Peter. Okay, this is a lot. If you've never seen this movie, you probably don't care at all. But if you do, I feel like you catch what I'm saying. I loved this movie when I was a child, a very young child. I did manage to find 2 Wheel of Time books. So I've got The Path of Daggers and Knife of Dreams. I have read the first Wheel of Time book, and I think I started the second one, but I never continued. So that's another series I would really like to pick up. And these, like the hardbacks, are very, I'm so surprised that she had these priced at $2.79, because if you go to Half Price Books, they're like $10 used. So I'm very surprised about this. We're almost done. Only 3 more vintage books. So then I've got Now That April's There. And this one, I really liked the illustrations of this one. This is by Daisy Newman. And there's illustrations, and Margaret and Gail McKinney is their name on the inside of the book. And the reason why I picked this one up, I was like, it wasn't just because of the artwork. This one has a very interesting, so this one, the copyright is 1944. And there's a blurb in here that says, this is a special edition published exclusively for the members of the People's Book Club, P.O. Box 6570A, Chicago, Illinois. It is produced under emergency conditions in full compliance with all the War Production Board conservation orders. Because I read the year and I was like, oh great, I have a book from the 40s. And then I read the blurb and I'm like, wait a second, that's right. This is during World War II, when you are conserving everything. And here I have a book published during the war. Isn't that crazy? So that's really why that's literally the reason why I bought this book, is because of that blurb about it saying that this was allowed to be manufactured during the war. The war being World War II. I don't know, I'm just like really geeked about that. Then I've got No Time for Tears by Cynthia Freeman. This was in the romance section, and I don't know. This one is, it says it's an unforgettable saga spanning 3 generations and 3 continents. It is about a girl who survived abrupt tragedy and became prematurely the matriarch of her family, triumphing over all the heartbreak that turn-of-the-century Russia could perpetrate, making her way to Palestine and then later to New York City. I don't know. I thought that sounded really cool. And then the last book of this book haul, Tempted by Virginia Henley. Look at the back of this book. She's like, no, but also yes. And he looks like he has a mullet. And there's like the sword back here. And also he's got a belt. Like a fancy looking belt that I feel like would not be historically accurate for there to be this belt or this style of sword in the background. Yeah, because it is the reason why I got this, not because of my judgment of the back or the fact that they used a freaking orchid. So this is a 16th century Scotland. So it's like a Highland romance. And I think it's like a hate to love, forced marriage kind of deal. Yeah, into a handfast trial marriage with her clan's most hated enemy, Lord Ramsay Douglas. I had to get it. I had to get it. So that is all my books falling to the ground. That is my ridiculous book haul that I had no intention of getting any of these books, but other than the German ones. I'm excited for all of them. They all look hilarious. And I hope to, I don't know, maybe I'll like vlog reading some of these because of just how ridiculous, like definitely the romance ones are ridiculous, but I don't know. We'll see. So if you love hauls about books, yarn, whatever, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you think any of these look hilarious or interesting, please let me know in the comments. If you've heard of any of these books, minus like the Wheel of Time series, please let me know. Obviously, I've never heard of any of these books, and I'm just geeked about them. It's going to be so exciting and fun to read. I already told my friends that if I thought any of them were really good, I was going to pass them off to them and then they would have to read them. You'll have seen the stats, but I believe most of the books that I got are from the 50s, and then the fantasy romance ones are from like the 80s, I think. So yeah, please comment if you want me to read any of these or any thoughts about them, because I have a lot of thoughts. Yeah, thank you so much for sitting through this really long haul, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it inspires you to maybe pick up some books that are 100 years old, or go to your local used bookstore or local independent bookstore. That's what I hope this inspires you to do. Go to your independent bookstores, find a random small in awareness used bookstore, a used bookstore that isn't called Half Price Books maybe, and just walk around. I would not have bought all these books, granted, if there wasn't that $5 deal, but even then, all of these books were $2.79 or less. Several of them were less than that. $2.40 is what I'm seeing right here. I know I saw another one earlier that was $1.90. So a fantastic, crazy deal. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.